Hi, I'm the Last Goth Unicorn, and today is my March wrap up. We're a couple days into April, but I had this brilliant idea when I originally went to film this video in late March that I was going to finish another book by the end of the month, and I did not. So I really should have saved that version and posted that. But instead, we are here, and I am going to tell you about the books that I read in the last month. And it was kind of a stinker month for me. I won't lie. I didn't get a lot of really high rated ones. And there are some that I rated on here, and I have them like written down for what I gave them on, I think on my Fable. They're not how I feel about them now. I'll be honest. So, the first book I read was The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and this book is really funny for me to read because March is my bad, like, mental health month, and this book is not good for your mental health. I won't lie. I gave it 4 stars. I did really like it, but it is about a woman who is struggling with mental health issues, like really, really poorly, and she's doing a terrible job with it. I would almost name her as a girl Johnny Truant, in how poorly she is dealing with her mental health issues. And yeah, Esther is a not very charming woman at the same time because she is very racist. And that is something that just needs to be known. So, I ended up giving this book only 4 stars because I have a system of docking points for racism inside books. So, 4 stars for The Bell Jar. The next book I read was a very silly book called Dino Scores. It is a dinosaur MLM monster. I guess it's a monster romance. It's a dinosaur erotica. And I buddy read it for the first and probably only time I'll ever buddy read something with a friend. And yeah, so that was something that we did together for fun. It's exactly what's on the tin, so I was not disappointed. I was not surprised. I was kind of insane about the fact that there was so much plot in it, actually. So if you're interested in something just absolutely off the wall weird for a couple dollars, give it a try. I gave it a 3.5. I read the words nictating membrane a couple times in there, so that was fun. The next thing I read was From Blood and Ash, which is a vampire romantasy, and it frankly just took way too long to vampire for me. And also I thought that the main characters were unbearable and annoying, and I wanted to scream the second that it kind of introduced a very similar Hades Persephone concept in the text. There was just a lot going on that did not jive with me and is not my thing at all, and I really hated it, so I gave it a 1.5. The next book I read was Medieval Myths, and this one was just some medieval myths. It's getting my standard, this is a historical text, 3 stars, because it did not change my life, but it did introduce some interesting concepts to me, like Berta Broadfoot being very heavily related to some concepts in fairy tales. Like, I believe she had, at one point she talked about like her evil stepmother, and then at another point it was very Cinderella, and one point it was very Snow White, like just that kind of thing. I thought it was really interesting, but I also am a firm believer in the concepts that these stories have been told over and over and over again and have become different things over and over and over again. So it just kind of solidified that in my mind. Decent book, 3 stars. The next thing I read was Zodiac. And I made a whole video on Zodiac, so I'm not going to go into huge detail on it here, but it is a YA sci-fi. I'm going to call it a YA sci-fi romance because the romance is like so important to the plot, or it becomes so important at some point. I'm not a fan. Was not a fan. 1 star. And the next thing I read was Ghosts by Heinrich Ibsen. It was a stage play about congenital syphilis. And I only specify who the author is because I haven't been doing that this whole video, just because I feel like there must be a lot of things called ghosts. But this one specifically was an interesting stage play. I don't remember it super well. I don't remember a lot of these books, like, super, super well, but I do remember really, really liking some of the lines went just, like, really hard. And I was like, ooh, delightful. You get it, girl. Like, it was just really, really fun at some points. And at some points it was like, oh, this is weird and depressing. So that's where we were at with Ghosts. 3 stars for Ghosts. Next is Frankenstein, and I wrote down that I gave Frankenstein 4 stars. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I was not... I wanted to love Frankenstein, right? And I just couldn't love it because I found Victor so unbearable. I really liked the creature. I thought his perspective was, like, delightful. He was such a fun time, and, like, my friends have made fun of me. So, my friends make fun of me for liking really viscous, really thick texts, and I liked how thick and viscous the language that the creature was using were, but I did not like the way that Victor spoke. I found him unbearable. I found him annoying. I found him obnoxious. So it really dampened my spirits on Frankenstein as a whole that I had to constantly be around Victor. 3.5 stars for that one. The next thing I read was Blood on Her Tongue. I loved this book. This was my only 5-star read of this month, and honestly, it was really good. I finished it in like 3 days because I was so excited to be reading it. What can I even say about it? It has so many things I love. It has weird sibling relationships. It has lesbians. It has vampires. It has a bog body. It's great. It's really fun. If you like What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, please give this book a try. I'm not going to say why I think you should give it a try, but I just feel personally like they had really similar vibes. And maybe that's because Guy, who's only read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which isn't true, but it just had really similar vibes to me. So I really like Blood on Her Tongue. 5 stars for me. The next book I read was the Prose Edda, which is the prose version of the Edda. I have read the Edda before, but it's like more elaborated translations of them. I liked the Prose Edda because it was more vague and as a whole. So I wrote down that I gave it 3 stars. I think I want to give it 3.5 because it did change how I thought about the Norse myths as a whole. I've been into Norse mythology since I was like a wee lass. So, I appreciated the Prose Edda a lot. And that was the last book I read this month. So that is my complete wrap up. Amazing. I read 9 books, which if you have been following along, I'm trying to read 74 books, and that is a rate of about 6 books a month. So I was able to... I have actually cut down my goal from finishing it in December to finishing it in August if I maintain the pace, because I've been reading standardly about 8 books a month. But I am trying to just finish 6 books a month. So I wanted to talk about my TBR for this next month. But first I also wanted to talk about the books that I didn't finish last month. Not as in I DNF'd them. I have a whole list of the books I've DNF'd that I'm going to make a video on eventually. But these are the books that I'm still working on. So the first one is The Bone Dolls Twin. I'm really, really liking this one. It is a dark fantasy, and it's introduced some really interesting concepts into my mind. And I really, really am liking this one so far. I just recently found out that apparently it's part of a series, and I don't know if I will get the other ones in the series, because I'm liking this one a lot, but I don't know if I'm liking it enough for a series. Right? Like, do you understand that? it's complicated. I think that this one is very interesting, though, and I'm really enjoying where it is going with the story so far. The next one is Never Whistle at Night. I'm getting through this one really slowly. I won't even lie. This one, it's a 400-page anthology, okay? And, like, sometimes it's hard for me to sit down and just read a little story, okay? Sometimes I want to read a big, long story, not a little one. And then the next one is The Faithless. I'm still working on The Faithless. I mean, it's the second act in the series, so it's gonna be a lot slower, and it's just, like, it's stressful. It's politics stressful in this book right now, and I'm not built for it. I'm, like, not built for it. I'm so stressed out. I'm struggling so hard. But I am excited to continue reading this book. It was just too stressful for me at the time. So I also decided instead that I was going to not roll again, but make a mindful TBR for this coming month. And I decided to do a spring-themed one. I was inspired by another YouTuber to do this because, you know what? It was really cute. It's a really cute idea. So I made my own TBR, and it's gonna be a little weird. But we have Molly Bond is my first one for my TBR. This, like, physical book is actually from the 1800s, so it will probably start falling apart on me while I read, but that is a risk I'm willing to take because this book is the originator of the line, Beauty is in the Eye of the Beholder. And I'm really curious about that. I really want to see where it is and what the story that inspired that was. So, we have Molly Bond. Next, this one is my International Book of Erotica, and I'm not going to hold it up for very long. But, you know, it's springtime, and the birds and the bees are out, so I've read a couple stories in there, and they're really interesting. It's my International Book of Erotica. I don't know if I said that. It's got stories from a bunch of different places. I think it's mostly America and Canada, actually, but there are some from... There's one from Japan, there's some from Czechoslovakia, some from Great Britain, Russia, New Zealand, France, yeah, mostly the US and Canada, though, but the Czechoslovakia and the Russian, there's a German one, but yeah, so there's, like, a bunch of different really interesting stories in here. My favorite is that on the front it has Anne Rice written on it, so I've never read an Anne Rice book, so it'll be interesting. The next book I selected to give myself a little easier time is The River Has Roots. It's a very short book. And also I know it has, like, illustrations in it, so it's even shorter by that standard. So I'm really excited about this. I don't know a lot about it. I know it's about sisters, and I know it's about music, and I have a really big soft spot in my big soft heart for bard stories, as I call them. So any story that is about someone who, like, plays music and does music, I have a really big soft spot for. So I'm really interested in The River Has Roots. And it has a spring vibe to me. It just, like, this cover radiates springtime, and music radiates springtime. So I thought it was a good choice. The next I have The Metamorphoses. This one makes sense to me, because spring often is associated with, like, evolution, and I don't want to say resurrection, because, I mean, it kind of is, because it's almost Easter, but, you know, just kind of, like, evolution and rebirth. So The Metamorphoses, that makes sense to me. I also am on a journey trying to find different versions of mythology that I like, because I have read a fair amount of mythology in my life, and I have kind of never jived super heavily with it. I really like the prose Edda, as I mentioned earlier, like the actual prose of it, I thought was really cool. I like it when it's more interpretive. So I'm kind of on a journey looking for the more interpretive versions of myths. It's also probably why I liked the Edith Hamilton mythology book, is because it's so short, it's so bite-sized that it's easier to interpret it how you feel. But the next book I picked is a real beast, is The Priory of the Orange Tree. I know that I'm currently reading two really thick, dense fantasies, but why not another one? I love a thick, dense fantasy. Why not? I'm really, really into this. I read a couple pages of this. I think the first chapter I read, really good. Really good. I really like it, and I like the feel of the book. I just like touching it. The last book I picked is The Nightmare Society. This is just a nice little easy read for me because I wanted to treat myself this month and give myself some easy reads. And I found the first version of The Nightmare Society very charming. So I have two more. I have this volume and then I have another one. And as you can see, I already started it a little bit. So yeah, that is my TBR for April. And yeah, thank you so much for being here if you watched all of this. Have a lovely day. Stay off pudding and stay obscene. Thank you for not commenting on how beat up my makeup looks today, because I didn't put like any on. It's just not that kind of day for me today. So, have a lovely day.